I think I don't enjoy working for somebody else. Until I've said 4,000 hellos, I haven't even started growing my business. I think there's a lot of people that sugarcoat the online space and obviously tell people it's going to be easy. I actually say to people that come on the call with us, it's like, genuinely, the first call is not a sales call. Buying is a psychological process, and human behavior is the reason why fat people get in better shape. Send us the sales calls that you're having with your clients. Let us review them. Why? Because these are the two things that you suck at. Having an argument with anybody is stressful. There's only a small percentage in the fitness industry that have got 50 to 100 clients online.
Hey, can I ask a little favor? If you've gotten any value out of the Coach Catalyst podcast, if you've enjoyed the guests that we've had on, the simple and free way to show that support is to hit that subscribe button. And my commitment to you is to go out and find the best coaches, do the best interviews, pull out the tips, the tricks, so that you can create the coaching business of your dreams. So if you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button. That allows us to continue doing what we do. Have a great day. What is up, my friend? Welcome to season 4 of the Coach Catalyst podcast. My name is Trevor. I'm your host, and I'm excited today to introduce you to Mark Coles. He is the founder of M10 Coaching and also Concierge Coaching. Mark, he's like an OG coach. He's been in this industry for 25 years, grew up in the personal training world, and now helps coaches build incredible businesses online. And I just love the authenticity that Mark brings to this episode. You're going to love it too. A few things that we covered in this episode that I want to highlight. One, we talk a lot about DM strategies. We've spent a lot of time on that. Mark gave some really, really good frameworks around DMs and how to do it in a great way. We also talked some sales, some frameworks around sales. We talked about how you as a coach, if you're brand new, how to get started and how to kind of start the DM strategy and help start getting followers. And so if you're an online coach, if you're looking to get into the online world, Mark is definitely someone that you're going to want to listen to. His approach, it's so authentic, and I think you're just going to love this episode with Mark Coles. See you on the flip side. Hey, Mark, welcome to the Coach Catalyst podcast.
Trevor, thank you. Delighted to be here with the slightly crazy time zone.
I know we got, it's like literally you are like on the opposite side of the world. It's 8 a.m. for you. It's 10 o'clock at night for me, but we
make it happen, right?
That's right. It's right. When you want to make it happen, you just make it happen. So I'm super excited about this because I got to meet you in person for the first time at Allie's event down in Phoenix, the Silverback Summit. And I got to watch your talk on marketing. And I think it was the beginning of day 2. And I loved it. And I was like, what you guys are doing, we got to get you on the podcast, especially with this season when we're talking about online coaches. I think you've got a lot of insight to share because you've been in the industry for a long time. You've seen the evolution, right? Of the internet didn't even really exist, and now people can make millions of dollars on the internet being a fitness coach and everywhere in between. And so let's just kind of go back. Like, how did you get into the industry? Where did your passion come from? Let's just go back way to the beginning.
I think just to give a bit of context, as you've said, it's I in my family business for a while felt that I needed to do something where I was happy, and the place I was happiest the most was the gym. Much like everybody listening to this episode, we're happy in the gym. We've done a transformation, or the gym's changed our lives in some way, shape, or form. So I'm no different. I'm not the guy with the degree, with the master's that's come through and, chosen it as a career. I think it found me because I enjoyed being in the gym. And so I quit university, took out a small loan, which, is for most people, is like, I'm not going to borrow money. I was like, I'm going to borrow money and then pay it back because it's my way to get in. So I started becoming a personal trainer on the gym floor. And for the first 4 to 5 years, worked my ass off on the gym floor from 5:30 a.m. as everybody does. And I didn't complain, as a lot of modern PTs do. And I worked till 8, 9 o'clock at night until my reputation had been built, till my diary was full and I was making money, right?
Right.
And then I got to a point whereby the gym were just launching the franchises of personal training. And this is going back 25 years, right? It was 5 years into my career. They said to me, listen, you built your business really well. Would you like to help us grow the PTs in the gym? I said, well, yeah, I'd love to. You'll make a profit on how many sessions they do over 25 a month. And then I was pretty good at helping coaches fill their diary. And then with that, they gave me 8 clubs in the region. And my responsibility was, as well as doing a little bit of PT myself, was to fill the clubs with good PTs. And I kind of liked this because it was kind of scaling for somebody else. But I was like, this is pretty cool. I can share my knowledge. I can help people. This was in 5 years into my career. But after a while of making somebody else money, I was like, nope. So I spoke to my father and I said, Dad, I think I don't enjoy working for somebody else. I want to do something on my own. And he said, well, listen, there's a unit available above the boatyard in the town, small town I was from. What do you think? And I said, anyway, he was the shining light that gave me the motivation to start my own studio. Just me, took my clients, therefore I could charge my own prices and deliver my own model. And within a year, I went to a Charles Poliquin event and sat and had a consult with Charles Poliquin. And I said to Charles, I'm full. What do I do? He goes, hire a coach. And I was like, what? He goes, hire a coach. 2 years later, I had 5 coaches and me. We're doing nearly over 200 sessions a week of personal training. And then I got to the point when I was like, okay, cool. I'm full. It's a small facility. Let's go for a big boy. So I took on a 6,500 square foot facility in the city as opposed to the town. And from that point on, like the whole knowledge, expansion, growth, development, had 7 trainers, an assistant team, eventually a marketer. And I think people in the industry had just seen this because 15 years ago, that's when Instagram and Facebook started. And I started to document a bit of what I was doing. And that really is kind of how things led. It went from personal trainer to opening up my own facility to training and developing my team, and then realizing that the things that I taught my team, other people then were asking me, how did I do it? And that led me, Trevor, into the education space. About just under 15 years ago, I started actually teaching the science and theory of coaching to help you get better results, because that's what I got known for. And then more and more coaches was asking me how I was making money from it. And that's really where I kind of thought, wow, I could make a bit more impact helping coaches.
Right. Well, let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to those early days. I mean, you're helping other coaches fill their book of business.
Yep.
What were some of like the first 2 like go-tos? Because I mean, there's probably a coach or 2 that's listening to this that's working in the big box gym that's looking to get clients. You know, what were the couple of the best pieces of advice that you were given to those new coaches to fill their book?
Do you know, I love the fact you've asked me this, right? Because whilst I predominantly now teach online coaches, when we talk about online coaches, most of the online coaches that want to go online are pivoting from personal training. And because I'm a diehard personal trainer, Trevor, I am. Like if you talk to me, I'm a coach still. I love coaching. I love fitness, but I still have not disconnected myself from who I was when I was 22, 23. Right. And if I was going back to myself, sitting in a coffee area of a gym and there's a personal trainer that was struggling, I'd say this, dude, you've entered the service industry. So the service industry basically means people are your thing. And with that, I would not overwhelm yourself with the sale. I would not overwhelm yourself with the deliverables of what you do. I would become obsessed with the word hello. My name is Mark Coles. I'm one of the personal trainers here. Nice to meet you. I would just obsess until, if the gym's got 4,000 members, until I've said 4,000 hellos, I haven't even started growing my business, because at the other side of a hello is somebody feeling more confident to speak to you the next day. At the other side of somebody saying to you, good morning, the next day is, how's your day? I didn't see you in the gym last night. To the next day being, oh, you're in at the same time every day. Cool. What are you working towards right now? And I always say to any PTs, building relationships with people is like a conveyor belt. It starts at the beginning. And I think a lot of people overwhelm the marketing and the sales part of personal training because they're thinking about a sale. They're thinking about how can I show people my value. But value to me starts at the fact that the person is engaging in a conversation. And in the online space right now, it's way harder. But in personal training, it's actually very easy. It's just becoming friends with as many people in the gym and starting that conveyor belt. And to be honest, once you realize that most people in the gym like talking to you, the fear that most people have is the fact that they think that people are worried about being sold to. But once you've built that initial bit of rapport, it becomes such an effortless process to adding value. If you've just got the fundamentals of, hey, Jeff, I saw you got yourself a new Porsche. It looks cool in the car park. He's like, hey, man, yeah, wicked, amazing. And you've just built that connection. And I think that if more personal trainers got down to the fact that just be everybody's friend in the gym is the simplest thing you can do as a stepping stone to making more money, getting more clients.
I love that. It's so simple, right? But a lot of people want to skip that part of the relationship. And at the end of the day, coaching is a relationship business, right? Like it's a human business, which then kind of brings us into the online space, right? And like the online space, that's probably one of the hardest things to do is build a relationship and connection in a virtual setting. And so how do you take that advice and, now give that to the coach that's trying to get clients that they maybe never see in person?
Yeah. Well, I'll be completely honest. I think there's a lot of people that sugarcoat the online space and obviously tell people it's going to be easy, right? I'm very transparent, okay? If people hire us to support them, we're not helping you get online clients, right? And I think that's a problem for business coaching and business mentoring. You're joining our business to get clients. No, you're joining us to understand how to build a business. So when you go to university for the first 2 to 3 years, they don't teach you how to make money. They teach you the fundamentals of the business that you're in. So if you're going to go and learn business and entrepreneurship, you'll learn about economics, you'll learn about psychology, you'll learn about money. You're learning all these fundamentals so that when you start to do this thing, you're in a great position because you have the skills to be able to do that. So coaches starting online, their first thing is, how do I get clients, right? And I'm like, let's go back 10 steps. And a lot of online coaches, in my opinion, Trevor, are entering into the online space with no money. So they're desperate, right? Dude, go and get a job. What? I want to make money online. Go and get a job. Even if it's paying you kind of like $300 a week, right? Just go and get a job. Because if $300 a week is $1,200 and your rent's $350, at least you're covering your rent. Because the biggest problem with building relationships with people is if you're desperate, it's easy to see. And I think we have a big problem in the industry at the moment with desperate trainers. Because when you're a personal trainer and you go in the gym, they might start you off as a fitness instructor with I always advise people, go and start as a fitness instructor because at least you're going to get $300-$400 a week. And at least then you can take your time building your business. Then you have the PTs that are desperate and they're the ones going up to every treadmill go, have you had a PT? Are you looking for coaching? And this is where we end up with coaches going in the DMs, just spamming every person without actually thinking that we're trying to build and nurture a relationship. So the spamming methodology that's being taught left, right, and center is to get clients. The reality is, yes, you can acquire clients online, and we do have to speak to a lot of people. But in the online space, the first step really is, what am I seeing when I get on your page? Like, genuinely, that's your shop front. What am I seeing on your page? Is your bio clear? Is your content clear? Is the quality right? Are you speaking to the right people? Because the first part of the relationship is what they see. It's like being in a gym. If you walk in and see a scruffy personal trainer with a scraggly beard and really dirty clothes, first impression counts. And if the person says hello to you, you form an opinion very quickly. So your personal page is where people form an opinion very quickly. So if you're then going to engage with somebody, look, the only way to engage with people if you're relatively new to the online space is through a direct message. People are getting a lot of direct messages. The minute that they get a direct message, they check your page. If your page isn't aligned, then that's the first thing we've got to do. We've got to get your shop front aligned, and then we've got to get your foundational level of conversation starters underway. And then you have to have very thick skin that you're going to get a lot of rejection. You're going to have a lot of people saying no to you. And that, unfortunately, is like a reverse. It's a reverse of how we want it to be, because ultimately, when you're lowest self-confidence, you don't really want to do something that's the hardest. So here's the thing. In the gym, if I have an older woman come to me, the first thing I'm not going to do is put a snatch off from the floor, right? Because she cannot do it. What I would probably do is say, well, let's do some body weight glute bridges and some ISO holds on the reverse the 45-degree hyperextension. Why? Because I want to just start you off from the fundamental ground up. When you're a PT, let me get you saying hi to people in the gym floor, right? When you're an online coach with zero confidence, not able to create content, the first thing I'm going to get you to do is to send a DM. And that DM, I'm going to try and get you to do a book call. You're going to have to realize that you're coming in at the hard end of the game. And that's where we have to honestly think, I've got to come in with thick skin. I've got to come in with an entrepreneurial mindset. So I did a presentation to our clients yesterday, and I said, half of the role of me as your mentor and our team as mentors to you is to help you deal with the challenges. So, in order to be able to start a conversation and build a relationship, you basically have to have very well-crafted opening messages that when people receive them and they check out your Instagram profile, they're like, I'm going to entertain this conversation. And that's one of the first things that we have to do, is my brand and my shop front aligned with the conversation starter so that people feel that they want to begin a conversation.
So do you have any good conversation starters? I would be,
of course,
people would be hating me if I didn't ask you for a couple.
No, for sure. For sure. Well, look, first things first. When somebody joins my account, one of the first things I'll always say to people is, hey, John, thanks for following. I'm just curious. Have you followed me for any specific fitness advice or just for the content? Now, what is this? Oh, I've just followed you for the content. Brilliant. Just to help me out. What's leaning towards this type of stuff that would be of value to you? Training, nutrition, or mindset? And they're like, oh, more mindset. I'm like, oh, awesome. Are you working towards a goal right now? I'm working to try and get to that first question, which is, are you working towards a fitness goal right now? That's what I'm working towards. And then after that, I'm into a normal conversation. So if somebody follows me, the first thing I want to give them is called an either or question. Have you followed me for fitness advice or the content? Why? Because if I say, hey, John, thanks for the follow, they come back with, gotcha, right? Or they just don't reply. Coaches don't think about the human psychology. Ultimately, if you give somebody an either or, it gives them an easy way to reply. So I go fitness content, or in my case, I'll say, have you followed me for any business advice or just for the content? And they're like, oh, to be honest with you, I'm just about starting my online business. I'm a bit nervous. I'm like, cool. Are you currently a personal trainer? And then we're into a conversation. And people are like, DMs are sleazy, da-da-da. No, they're not. Like, if you're in a gym and you're talking to people, the ultimate thing is, if you're online, you have to find your way of being able to have a conversation. So that's one of the first things that I'd look at. Can I give them like an either or? All right. And then the second thing is, I want to make sure that the stories that I'm sharing on a day-to-day basis, this is where people are going from my Instagram feed, and the more engaged people are going to be in my stories. There is nothing wrong when somebody engages with a poll or anything inside your stories for you to message them and say, hey, John, thanks for engaging with my poll earlier today. Just curious, is this something that you're working towards right now? They're either going to ignore you or they're going to come back and say, yep, it completely resonated with me. And I'm like, awesome. What are you looking to achieve over the next 6 months? And then we're into a conversation. But I think that a lot of coaches, they're either waiting for people to DM them, or when they do follow them, they say, hey, thanks for the follow, but they don't have a predictable way of turning that conversation into the ability to potentially either propose a call or give somebody some more value. So my team that helped me, we're either going to get into a conversation where the person has really not opened up at all, and we send them to a really valuable video series where they can get a lot more help, or we direct them to a call with my team, which is a no obligation strategy call, where they are stuck and they need somebody's help. And we actually have an obligation jump on a call with my team. It's not a sales call. We're not going to pitch anything to you, but we just want to help you. And that gives the person the opportunity to then move closer to having a conversation with us.
My favorite thing about Coach Catalyst.
One of the things I love most about Coach Catalyst.
There are lots of things I love about Coach Catalyst.
And the reason why I love Coach Catalyst is that
the accountability off the back of that
is simplicity.
The support is amazing.
It allows me to give so much of me to my clients.
It's the drip feeding of content.
I can schedule lessons for my clients in advance.
Game changer for freeing up time.
It gives me my time back.
It's so simple and so easy.
Hi, I'm Kane, the founder of Coach Catalyst, the #1 accountability and communication software on the market today. We help coaches just like you keep their clients accountable and scale their business beyond what they've ever been able to do before. So if that sounds like something you want, let's take a look at how we can help. So Coach Catalyst was built on the 4 C's of coaching. Those are content, communication, community, and consistency. So for content, you need to go beyond just workouts and deliver the whole experience for the client so they get the results they deserve. For communication, you need to own your communication. If you don't own the communication, you don't own the client. So make sure you stop texting clients and use a centralized platform. For communities, get off of Facebook groups and take ownership over your social group with Coach Catalyst communities. And for consistency, the foundation of all results for clients, we took the best-selling book Atomic Habits and built all these fundamentals right within our app that's going to guarantee to get your clients the best results possible. If you want to start using the 4 C's with your clients, content, connection, community, and consistency, make sure you run over to Coach Catalyst and start a free trial today.
So, I mean, tell us a little bit, about the no obligation thing, because I think that's probably a really good strategy for a coach that's helping someone work through something.
Yep.
When you say no obligation, no kind of sales call, do you end it just like, hey, if you ever want to work together in the future, just let me know? Or is there a way to kind of lead into kind of asking for the sale or asking to
Absolutely
if they want to work with you more?
So here's the deal, right? Most people propose, Trevor, a sales call.
Mm-hmm.
They propose, let's jump on a call and see if we're a good fit. Let's jump on a call and let me tell you about my coaching program. Worst thing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like being in a bar and talking to a girl and then you're having a really good conversation. It's like, hey, give me your number and maybe we can jump in bed when we get home and see how we get on.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, snake, knee to the nuts, you're off, right? This is what's going to happen. But if you go, I've really enjoyed talking to you. Like, why don't we just arrange to go for some food tomorrow? I've enjoyed today and see how we get on. She's like, that's like really nice. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Rather than, hey, why don't we stay out till 2 a.m? Then let's go back to my place. And he's basically putting the doubt, the fear, the worry straight into her mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or vice versa, because girls are just as bad as guys. But here's the deal. If I'm having a really genuine conversation in the DMs with me and you, Trevor, and I'm like, hey, Trevor, it's been really great talking to you, but I have a suggestion. Rather than us going backwards and forwards in the DMs, why don't you and I jump on a call? Let me take a deeper look at what we've been talking about here. I'll make some suggestions that I know will help you. He's like, dude, that would be awesome. At that point, it's not a sales call, Trevor. It's me saying that if we go back and forwards in the DMs, ultimately, we're not really going to get very far. But if we have a call, at least I can take a deeper look at what you're doing, and then we can come up with a game plan, or like I can build a strategy. And they're like, I've not got any money to invest, or whatever. Now, maybe they show their hand at that point to say, I've got no money to invest. And I go, well, cool. In that case, I'd be more than happy to send you. Now, people, when they show their hand that they've got no money to invest, depending on how well the conversation's going, may just be a smokescreen. I'm like, cool, it's no worries. Let's just jump on a call. Let me take a deeper look, because that person may be putting the barriers up because they think you've got something to sell.
Right.
But in most cases, when we say, we've been having a great conversation, why don't we jump on a call? Let me take a deeper look at what you're doing. And then I can put a strategy together that I know will help you. Okay. When I start the call with that person, I will honestly tell them, in most cases, Trevor, we actually do a 2-call close. So the initial call with my team, I actually say, if you're pretty nervous about selling, it helps you here. I actually say to people that come on a call with us, it's like, genuinely, the first call is not a sales call.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to do is I want to help you build a strategy. And then if you want to know what happens inside our program and the costs involved, I can talk you through those. And then let's go away. You think about it. I'll think about it. We'll come back tomorrow. I still approach the call as a full-on sales call, but I disarm them by not allowing them to feel that they're going to get sold to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that for a lot of coaches, obviously getting somebody on the first initial call is of value because developing a 2-call close strategy is it's a secondary, it's another skill to add to your arsenal. However, if the initial call is the person's coming on for help and they go, yeah, but what happens if they start the call and they worry it's a sales call? I'm like, don't worry about it being a sales call. Ultimately start the call with, look, I'm really pleased. We had a great conversation in the DMs. What I want to do is unpack where you are right now, put a strategy together. Is that cool with you? And listen, if there's anything I can help you with at the end of the call, you let me know if you'd like me to hear it, if you want to hear it. So you go through the normal sales call with a framework. And when they get to the end of the call, this person should be chomping your arm off to find out if you can actually help.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, listen, this is the strategy I would do to help you to get you to where you want to be. Does it sound like something that would get you there? They're like, dude, this is everything that I've needed for a year. And you're like, cool, do you want me to show you how I work with other clients? It's not my intention when I came on the call, but listen, I can happily talk you through it. They're like, yeah, I'd love that. You talk them through the program. Ultimately, you've got somebody 100 steps closer to becoming a client.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people lead in the DMs with sales call. If you think of a personal trainer that helps people in the gym, every day they're helping them. Oh, I can see you doing the lat pull down. Let me give you a hand. I can see you doing the squats. Let me bring you back to a separate exercise and help you to do it differently. As you're a personal trainer, you're just nudging that relationship along to the point where they're having a coffee, you sit next to them. Before you know it, you're actually in a consultation. And because you've given so much value, well, if you unpack this in the DMs, you're having a pretty straight line conversation over 1 or 2 days. You get them on a call and you do all that rapport building that PTs take 3 or 4 weeks to do in one call because it's a very structured sales process, and bang, you've got yourself a client. The most underrated skills for online coaches today is sales, Trevor. You know, I've been studying sales for a long time. I feel that coaches, if they study sales and they study the psychology of sales and they study human behavior, they'll realize that buying is just a psychological process. You know, buying is a psychological process, and human behavior is the reason why fat people get in better shape. As personal trainers today, I've been teaching personal development for 20 years because personal development transformed my life. So when I think of personal development, I think of the reason why people are not doing something, getting out of their own way, changing their perspective. And if you can change somebody's perspective and help get out their own way and show them a framework that gets from where they are now to where they want to be, that person's stupid not to pay you money to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what we're doing. We've got content that is changing the perspectives of people's minds. Content is getting attention. Content is more people see the content. They're like, man, yeah, you're right. You know, we're basically using persuasive psychology to change people's perspectives so that when they receive a DM, they're like, dude, this is the guy that I'm following. Like, I love his stuff, love her stuff. Now they've just DM'd me. Now I'm having a conversation. You see, people underestimate. If somebody receives a DM, Trevor, and then they engage in conversation with you, people don't even for a second think of that. Like, if they engage in a back and forth conversation for at least 3 or 4 parts of the conversation, that person's engaged.
Mm-hmm.
Most trainers don't even think about it online. They go, oh, I'm having a DM conversation. Let me try and turn this into a sale. No. One of my 2,000 followers is having a conversation with me and giving me the time of day, which means they see me as an authority, which means they see them as somebody I want to learn from. And that means I'm potentially closer to getting a client. But I think a lot of online coaches don't engage enough in the conversation, don't think enough about what they're saying, don't study the process of human conversation to the point where when they are in conversation, they just lose it because they're either inside the DMs, most people are trying to teach a solution to a problem. I teach all my students, no teaching ever goes on inside the DM. DMs is for discovery, and the proposal is the call, and the call is where we provide the solution. So the discovery happens inside the DMs, the proposal happens in the DMs, and the sales call is a perspective adjusting tool and a mechanism to show somebody how they can get the solution with your system. And that's where they buy it. But what most people do is somebody says, oh, yeah, I'm following this particular diet. Yeah, well, what I would suggest is you did this as soon as you start suggesting, that person's got the solution. So it
it's
really
more about
is.
It's more about asking questions.
Always.
in the DMs.
Let me tell you in the DM, the framework is this for me. Number one is a very small bit of rapport, very small, right? People are not going to have a conversation with you because they like you. People are having a conversation with you because they think you can solve their problem. After I've done a bit of rapport, I want to find out where somebody is right now. What are you doing right now? What are you working towards? What are you working towards? When I find out whatever it is you're working towards, I then want to know what's the time frame that we're working towards this goal for. When we've got the time frame, I then want to know what you've been doing currently right now. And then what I've done is I've discovered from where they want to get to where they are right now, there is a gap.
Right.
Whatever that gap is the thing that they're missing. And ultimately, from that brief bit of conversation, I know that person's identified to me through 4 or 5 different questions with the right answers. I think this person I can work with. Way too many coaches in the DMs are trying to get to a perfect time where the person says, I need help. If you do that, you won't book any calls. What you want to do is enough discovery. I always say it like this. When somebody fills in an application form, Trevor, there's only about 5 or 6 questions. But you still get on a call with somebody that applies, right? Ask the 5 to 6 questions in the DM. And if they tick the boxes as a potential to be an applicant, then propose a call. Now, when you're in my position where we're having a lot of sales calls every week, we have to have a grading system because not every good lead gets on our calendar. But as a personal trainer and an online coach starting out, you take every damn call.
Right.
Because you need to do reps of sales. They're like, oh my God, I've got 10 sales calls in this week. Do 15.
Right.
And I think people in the DMs are looking for too much of a perfect conversation. I have studied the DMs and I deliver integrity-based, authentic messaging systems. That's what I teach. Not spammy, get as many people on the call. I want good quality leads, but not people that have just been spammed. And I think that the reason why we're talking about the DMs here, Trevor, is because people think the DMs is like a very low-level skill. But this business coaching program really focuses on the skill of the DMs. I'm like, yeah, but that personal trainer really focuses on the skill of the fundamentals of exercise execution. Would you, if you wanted better quads, better hamstrings, better hips from a bodybuilding coach, would you overlook exercise biomechanics? No. You would take your time to understand it and work with a coach that teaches you, not just the coach that gives you the leg extension, leg press, and lying leg curl. Somebody that just gives you prescriptive, such as send DMs to book clients. That's tactical advice. Actually taking coaching, we're probably one of the only companies that actually review our clients' full DMs on a week-to-week basis. Send us the videos of the conversations you're having. Let us analyze them. Send us the sales calls that you're having with your clients. Let us review them. Why? Because these are the 2 things that you suck at. So if I'm giving you a framework in a 1-page PDF that tells you to have DM conversations and here's the scripts, that's the same as giving somebody a hack squat, leg curl, and lying leg extension, lying leg curl, and saying, just do it, you'll get bigger legs. The development of somebody's legs actually comes down to the execution, not the prescription. The development of everybody's sales calls and DM strategies comes down to the delivery of how it's taught, how it is assessed, and then how it's improved. Do you get my point? So for me, people are like, is it as simple as that? It's like, dude, if you could go from booking 2 calls a week in your calendar by professional coaching in how to have these conversations and accepting that sales training is something that you can go from being 2% good at to 80% good at in the next 8 to 10 weeks, and you go from booking 2 calls to 10. I had a guy recently start with me, horrendous at sales calls, horrendous at booking DMs, even though he had a setter. I then worked with his setter. We worked with his sales closing. He went from selling monthly coaching to paid in fulls, so he got more commitment from his clients. And he went from booking 3 to 4 calls a week to 9 to 12. Now, that was because they were like, yeah, but there's got to be something else. There's got to be a funnel I've got to build. There's got to be ads I've got to run. There's got to be this I've got to run. I was like, dude, we can start all that. We can do all that. But 99% of coaches, when they start, they haven't got the skill of writing copy. They can't create landing pages. They certainly don't want to run paid ads. because their content's not very good. But if you can get your content to be better, you can really get good at sending DMs and booking sales calls. Those in themselves would make a coach $20,000 a month, without a doubt. And I'm the guy that like really focuses on perfecting one or two things and then layering on top. And when I was in Phoenix, I said at my presentation, there are multiple buckets in marketing. You can run paid ads to things like ManyChat to book calls. You can run paid ads to video sales letters to book applications. There are DM strategies to book calls to sales calls. There's three different methodologies, but until you've nailed one, don't add a second, don't add a third, don't add a fourth. I've got many in my business, but I've got a large team that help me. So I think that what's lacking in the industry is an appreciation for sales and the fundamental areas that these coaches are entering into the industry lacking. And when you apply those, the problem is with it is it's not sexy, Trump.
Right. Right.
You know? So I hope that's given some kind of clarity to that.
My favorite thing about Coach Catalyst.
My favorite thing about Coach Catalyst.
One of the things I love most about Coach Catalyst.
There are lots of things I love about Coach Catalyst.
And the reason why I love Coach Catalyst is
The
that
accountability off the back of that.
Is simplicity.
the support is amazing.
It allows me to give so much of me to my
It's
clients.
the drip feeding of content.
I can schedule lessons for my clients in advance.
Game changer for freeing up time.
It gives me my time back.
It's so simple and so easy.
Hi, I'm Kane, the founder of Coach Catalyst, the #1 accountability and communication software on the market today. We help coaches just like you keep their clients accountable and scale their business beyond what they've ever been able to do before. So if that sounds like something you want, let's take a look at how we can help. So Coach Catalyst was built on the 4 C's of coaching. Those are content, communication, community, and consistency. So for content, you need to go beyond just workouts and deliver the whole experience for the client so they get the results they deserve. For communication, you need to own your communication. If you don't own the communication, you don't own the client. So make sure you stop texting clients and use a centralized platform. For communities, get off of Facebook groups and take ownership over your social group with Coach Catalyst communities. And for consistency, the foundation of all results for clients, we took the best-selling book Atomic Habits and built all these fundamentals right within our app that's going to guarantee to get your clients the best results possible. If you want to start using the 4 C's with your clients, content, connection, community, and consistency, make sure you run over to Coach Catalyst and start a free trial today.
Absolutely. And so if a coach was like, hey, I want to work on sales, what do you have any good resources or books or things that you may encourage them to pick up to start improving that skill?
One of the first books that I read was Jordan Belfort's The Way of the Wolf. Just helped my psychology. I thought that was really cool. I like a lot of Jeremy Miner's stuff on YouTube.
Okay. Yep.
Because I like NEPQ. I like the psychology and the tonality that he uses. I do think in the early days, if I'm absolutely honest, sales needs to go through maybe like a 6-step process. And I think that the longer you're in sales, here's my advice to coaches. Simplify the sales process, then complicate it. When you're coaching a client in the gym, I used to have a set phrase saying the learning profile of an exercise. Now, the learning profile of an exercise, okay, if I was to give somebody the snatch pull, it's very complex. If I look at the education, experience, and confidence of any individual in the gym, I fit the exercises in the early days with their knowledge, skill, and experience. If that means I've got to give them a split squat with 2 poles because of their experience level, I'm going all the way there. I'm going there. Right? When it comes to learning sales, most people go and learn from sales trainers online and they look at the whole sales process and they overcomplicate the whole thing. What I say to people is this. You're not going to be great at sales because it takes years. But what you can do is follow a very simple framework. The first simple framework for me is a brief bit of rapport, no longer than a minute, and I go straight into discovery. The discovery for me is trying to understand where are you right now, just like it was in the DMs. If we've done it from the DMs, we just reconfirm what we heard in the DMs and ask them if that's correct. We ask them where they are now, where they're trying to get to, what they're currently doing, the time frame, and what they feel is the missing link between where they want to be and where they are now. Once we've discovered all that, there are some reasons why people are not going to buy, and I discovered these. I learned this from a guy called Cole Gordon in America. Studied his stuff for a long time. He created some beliefs that people must have before they buy. One of the beliefs that people must have is that there's got to be a problem to solve. If we don't have a problem to solve, there's no point carrying on the call. And I think a lot of coaches say, oh, I can't find the pain. I can't find the pain. I'm not looking for a pain. I'm not looking for them to emotionally break down. When people think of the pain, they get it very, very lopsided. The pain is just the gap between where they are now and where they want to be. That's it. The pain is the gap between where they are now and where they want to be. That's all I'm trying to solve. Once I've done that, and I'm like, cool. So would I be right in saying that the thing you're looking for the most support with or help with is this? Yes, it is. Absolutely. Cool. I can tick that off. Most coaches don't find it. They just carry on talking. The second thing I want to find out is, does the prospect on the call with me feel that the thing they need help with the most, they can't solve on their own? So if I said to you right now, like you're struggling with sales, what stops you really from just banging away and just trying to figure this out? And they go, because I've tried to figure it out and it's killing my head. And you're like, cool. So right now, like if you just keep doing what you're doing, you're not going to get there, right? They're like, absolutely. So I know that now the second thing is that these guys have, they've got to have a problem that they know they can't fix on their own. They've got to know, which is the next one, that they have the time to be able to commit to this. Because if on the call I'm listening and the woman says, yeah, I've got 3 kids, I work from home, my husband's always away traveling, and I suffer with chronic anxiety. And then as a coach, you go, great, love that. So when we train 6 days a week and we do an hour and a half workouts and we have you on 1,000 calories a day because that's the way to get shredded, all the woman's doing on the call is like, this sucks. And she's going, yeah, it sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. Okay, cool. Well, it's $5,000 to 6 months. And the woman's like, awesome, cool. This sounds everything that I want. 100%. I'm going to contact my husband. And the trainer's like, woohoo, she's in.
Right.
But you've not listened to the call. She's told you all the way through the call that there's no way that she's going to do this. And you present something to her that's completely out of the picture. So what I would do with her is say, Jane, so here's the deal. Like, I want to help you with a strategy, but I want to build a strategy that's right for you. It sounds like your life's too busy to even entertain exercise. She's like, oh, no, don't worry. We've got a nanny that helps us 3 days a week. Oh, okay, cool. Now we uncover that there's help, there's support, there's time, right? And, you know, of course, I have a little bit of anxiety and a little bit of stress, but it'll end this week because now I've actually gone into what the time scheduling and stress looks like, right? So I need to understand that there's enough time. The other thing I need to look at is, do I have the support from my partner spouse? I have to have the support from my partner and spouse because you get to the end of the call and the person says, hey, I need to ask my wife, dude, like, I want to ask this earlier on in the call. I want to find out, hey, like, so I'm just curious, like when people do fitness and they get in shape, 9 times out of 10, they get derailed by their partner. And the reason they get derailed is because their partner doesn't like fitness and then they don't support you and they challenge you. And what's crazy about this is that's why most people aren't successful. And they go, yeah, my husband's not supportive of me. Cool. So listen, let's just say you decided to crush your goals right now. Is he just going to derail you? She's like, no, I'm doing this for me. Cool. So we tick that box. Like she's got the support. She doesn't need the support of her family partner. So as we're going through these ones individually, we're basically just knocking them down. And when it comes to objection handling, what I've just done is I've given you 4 examples of beliefs that these people must have to be able to be in a position where there's no doubt in their mind they can do it. So when we get to the end and then we present the program and how we're going to solve this to them, when we get to the end, they don't really have any objections because you've dealt with them early doors. And the point is, Trevor, is objection handling shouldn't be at the point where you have to fight people at the end. This is a way better way to deliver sales calls. Address the elephant in the room early doors. have a very normal conversation, weave this into the conversation you're having, and you will find that the people on the other end, when they get to the other end, the only objection they have is if they've got the money in the bank or they just don't want to do it.
Right.
You should only have those two things, money or not for me. But the reality is, if you discover all these things early on in the conversation, you're solving it all. Does that make sense? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of coaches, they go and have a long conversation, which is not actually psychologically unpacking anything. And then they show them the program. They say, oh, this is what they get. This is what you get. Thinking that's going to sell the whole program. And then they pitch, this is how much it is. And the person goes, but I'm going to speak to my husband. And then we're going to think about it together. And they think that they need to study objection handling.
Mm-hmm.
So they go on YouTube and they type in how to handle objections. And they don't change any of the main bulk of the sales call, but they just study objection handling, which, here's the deal. Having an argument with anybody is stressful. I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, if I'm having a conversation with you about how I can help you, I want it to be a very effortless process.
Right.
Where I could get to the end of that call. If they buy, they buy. If they don't, they don't. I go into the next one and I conserve my energy. I have a sales team. When my sales team are doing what we're doing, apart from when we have big launches of any promotions, I want them to come to the end of the calls going, I really enjoyed that. In fact, one of my sales team, I got forwarded from one of my setters the other day, a thank you message from somebody that came into our program, thanking them for the value on the sales call. And we regularly have this because ultimately the sales call should be a solution finding, discovery helping presentation of ultimately what we can help somebody with. And if it can help them, they pay. So I think coaches get it wrong. They go into a sales call to have a conversation and pitch what they do, as opposed to a discovery and a belief establishing process. Whereas at the end, they don't have to objection handle. They can just sign them or not sign them.
So, do you have coaches even just have like a checklist? Like they almost have like a script that they're going through this call and, okay, we're going to try and hit this, try and hit this, try and hit this.
Well, the reason I said that to you, yeah, exactly. The reason I said this to you is because when you actually study sales from sales trainers, the whole framework is very complicated. And that's because they've been doing it for years and they're giving you this massive long framework and script. What I try and do is to say, look, rapport, find out where we're going, make sure we've got some beliefs in check, tell them the actual fixing of the problem, how we're going to do it, tell them what they get in the program, and then pitch. Mm-hmm. And we just keep it to 5 things. When you do other sales frameworks, they get into objection handling, What you need is a framework of how the call should go. And then over the next 6 to 12 months, listen to your sales calls and work on one bit of the call every single time. Not try and take the whole call to pieces. Because sales is a skill you'll develop over time. Do I give people a script? I don't believe in scripts. I believe in frameworks.
Mm-hmm.
Follow a framework and then over time improve rather than a script, which gets very confusing.
Right.
I'd recommend this to any coaches or even clinicians out there that are looking to build a business around a product that they already really believe in.
As a brand new user, just being sold on the streamline of being able to put everything in a centralized location, anyone that is just fumbling with Google Sheets to Facebook messages, group messaging, text messaging.
For anybody that wants to be able to coach their clients, many times you use different tools and resources, and when you're trying to manage that, even on a Google Sheet or on regular technology, you're limited on duplicating the data over and over.
I think if I'm going to, recommend the app for anyone, it's me myself. If I want to take my business to the next level, so definitely looking to do that in the near future here. Everybody can really benefit from it. I use it in the rehab sphere, but I also utilize it in the training thing. You can do the same thing with nutrition, right? There's so many uses for it.
For everybody, coaches, clinicians, anyone that kind of works in the industry, chiros, PTs, trainers.
This is one simple solution that we can create to all of our users and all our clients.
So if you want to create a way to systematize your business so you can scale, I have not seen a better product for that.
Do you have a certain percentage that you try to, like a closing percentage? Like, do you see like, hey, we want to close 75% or 60% or 50%? Do you kind of have some benchmarks that you like to see coaches get to know if, hey, our pricing is right or we're doing a good job on the calls?
So if a coach is doing 65 to 70% closes, they're too cheap.
Okay.
65, 70% plus, they're too cheap. Because most coaches undercharge relative to the value. If a coach is like, yeah, I'm pretty good at 80%, I listen to a sales call and it's absolute garbage. The reason the client's buying is because it's a no-brainer, financially wise. So listen, Trevor, anyone can sell anything cheap, right? But that doesn't mean you're getting what you deserve, and it doesn't reflect the value of the program, right? And that means that, coaches are just, because they're not confident with sales and they're not confident with their skills, they're just undercharged. And they think, okay, cool, I'm just going to do sales calls and sign up. But here's the deal. Like, I want to get paid well for what I do. I want to get paid at a level which reflects my knowledge, skill, and expertise. And I want people to value exactly what it is they're investing in. My close rate, I would expect somebody to be is around about 40%.
Okay.
If it's down at 20%, what I don't want is somebody suffering at 20%. So I may allow their price initially to be at a point whereby they're closing 50, 60% because that helps their confidence. Right. And then once they've got their confidence up, then we start tweaking the price. What I don't do is put the price. So for example, in our program in the UK, in America, and in Canada, you guys are quite happy to pay more for coaching.
Right.
In the UK, people are a bit sensitive to price. And therefore, what we do is we give the coaches the option. Like, ideally, we want to sell up front for 6 months. But if the client cannot afford it and we have to go to monthly, then we will. Whereas, say, in the States, I'm like, look, people don't have a problem with paying for 6 months. What you need to do is to find a price point initially where you're comfortable at, but then be aware that that's not what is a reflection of your service and deliverables. And when we get you better at sales, we'll start jacking the price up.
What are you seeing as ranges? Because that's a question that always comes up for coaches. Like, what are you seeing as the ranges for, let's just talk online coaching in the health and fitness world, helping someone improve body composition, that kind of stuff.
I'm going to look at US here. So in the UK, I set the baseline at $250 a month, which is about $320.
Okay, 250 pounds.
£250 is my base mark in the UK, which is around about $320, $350. Yep. Okay. Now, if I did 350, that's $2,000 to $3,000. Let's say $2,000 to $3,000 in the US.
Yep.
For 6 months worth of coaching. Now, I'll tell you right now, coaches, I've got a coach that works with me personally. And this very much comes down to the confidence of the coach. But she's charging $4,000 to $4,500 to people in Miami for 6 months. And then I've got a very established coach that I work with. This is anywhere between $8,000 to $9,000 for 6 months. And they're very credible, experienced, and knowledgeable. So if we kind of put this around about 2 to 3 for 6 months would be a good benchmark for people to baseline at.
And you're a big fan of the paid in full versus maybe large down payment and then monthly installments.
Yeah, so there's a few reasons here. Number one is I'm working towards having people help close on my business. Number one, okay. And when I'm bringing sales closers in for the company, like the closer's going to want to make a paid in full percentage of that. If it's just a monthly fee, they're not going to make much on the sale. Number two, I feel that paid in full really challenges your sales skills. I think there's a lot of coaches that don't actually challenge their ability to sell. So years down the line, they've just been selling monthlies. I think MRR, just getting a monthly payments, is great for a kind of just a monthly recurring revenue coming into the business. But here's the problem, Trevor. Young coaches do not have the skill to get 20 sales calls on the calendar a week and close 10 a week, right? So if somebody does 2 sales a week with young coaches and they're selling at $300, that's $600 a week, right? If you do a paid in full, and a lot of coaches are struggling to make ends meet, they may not even sign 2 up a week. And it's a long time, Trevor, for these coaches to actually make any money. So the younger coaches spend too long trying to fill their diary because they're losing clients and gaining clients. So their confidence isn't going up because they've got to sign 1 at a time to make $300.
Right.
And then if I then say, Well, here's the deal. Let me teach you how to get paid in full. Let me teach you to get the client to buy into 6 months. So I've got a client that's bought into 6 months, but I'm going to teach you how to sell for 2K for 6 months. Not only do I get £2,000 in the bank, what is the benefit of somebody receiving 2,000 versus 3,000? It's a dopamine hit and confidence boost.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If somebody makes a sale of 2,000, it's like dropping your first 10 pounds of body fat and seeing your abs.
Right.
Right? I was a big fan of the 12-week transformations. For the real benefit with great coaches of the person actually for the first time in their life seeing their body.
Right.
Like the confidence changes that brings to somebody, Trevor, is insane. Now, if you then say to a coach, I'm going to teach you how to sell upfront, but don't worry, if the client can't afford it, you can do monthly. You're going to get the coach literally in our Facebook group every day. Oh my God, sold my first X upfront. Like, oh my God, I sold my first upfront. Not, hey, I signed 3 on monthly clients. Mm-hmm. They literally go, it's given me the biggest boost of confidence ever.
Right.
Because somebody's going prepared to pay them 2,000, 1,500, whatever it is. Somebody's bought into their program for 6 months. And then I have a very confident coach. What happens with a confident coach? They're better at creating content. What happens when they create better content? They create better awareness. Then we've got the MRR coaches that are not good at sales, not getting too many boosts of confidence and dopamine hits in terms of, feeling inspired. Yeah. And the final thing is they don't actually have much cash in the bank.
Right.
Because once a month they get $3,000-$4,000. Now, if a coach is signing 5 clients, which is $2,000, that's $10K.
Right.
Now, if I teach them how to be a little bit better with their money and keep that $10K, because that $10K, if it's 6 months worth of payments, needs to stay in the bank.
Right.
Right? But it's $10K in the account. Now, I don't know about you and I, Trevor, but if I've got cash in the bank, my confidence in my life and my business go up.
Right.
Because confidence relies on the thing that you're most worried about, and most people don't have the money.
Right.
And if you do want to put 6 months down rent or 3 months down rent on an apartment when you're ready to move out and you've got 50K sitting in the bank, you can take 10 to 15 grand out and actually give your life an upgrade. But if you're only getting 3 grand a month, it's small little incremental dumps of money. Now, is that guaranteed income? Yes. But there's only a small percentage in the fitness industry that have got 50 to 100 clients online.
Right.
The average coach has got 15 to 20 less. Right? Now, 15 to 20 at £300 a month is $4,000 to $5,000 a month. Well, with the tax situation in most states, you're not going to be making a huge amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
But if I could teach you how to turn that into 2 clients a week at $2K each, right? That's $16K a month coming into your business. So instead of 6, it's $16K. But I'm teaching you how to market now. What's the downside? You need to sell. Well, every restaurant needs to sell. Every car salesman needs to sell. Every hotel needs to sell, right? Get used to it. You're joining a sales industry.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, yeah, MRR, like I don't get predictable income, da-da-da. Cool. When the client finishes 6 months, put them on a monthly.
Right.
So then you can jack your price up to 3K and then downsell them to 250 after 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So they go, wow, well, it was 350 a month because I've just paid 3K. Or let's say you're doing 400, that's 2.5K. And then afterwards it's 250 a month. So they have a big jack for the 6 months. They get in 3.5K. They sign up 10 clients. That's $35,000. I don't know about you, but in our coaching program, our coaches love the drive, the hustle, and they don't have to sign up as many people. That's my logic.
Does that affect are you seeing it affect retention at all?
By payments up front?
Payments up front versus a monthly. Are you seeing any difference in how long people are staying around?
Well, what we actually do is we teach people how to build high-value coaching brands, not just clients.
Mm-hmm.
So then you actually start thinking about, okay, cool. Like yesterday, we did a planning session for our clients, how you map out the next 6 months of an inspiring coaching journey. Now, the retention just comes down to the skill and knowledge of the coach. And if you take somebody on monthly, a very unestablished coach, I mean, you can get people asking for refunds on monthly and upfront.
Right.
At the end of the day, Trevor, if coaching is crap, whether you get them paid up front 6 or 12 months, they're going to complain.
Mm-hmm.
which means we're leaning into one other issue with the online space right now, Trevor. Coaches want to make money, but coaches don't want to be a great coach.
Right.
We have on Tuesdays, one of my heads of education delivering a workshop every Tuesday of how to get life-changing results with Gen Pop clients in our business coaching program. We have 10 to 15 modules of how to coach clients, set them up, get results, keep them retained inside our business program. Why? I have a dedicated coach every week come in, highly skilled at being a coach, to teach the guys how to be great coaches, how to map out the year, how to create an inspiring roadmap, and how to get results. Because online coaches want to make money, but online coaches miss out coaching. So can I then add that to selling 6 months up front with being a great coach? I think that's the recipe beyond MRR and being a half-decent coach.
That runs challenges. I needed my life back. I had stuff all over the place. A Facebook group for community interaction, Google Sheets for check-ins and measurements, and was drowning in email communication. As my challenges grew past just a handful of people, I started to notice clients were falling through the cracks. I began researching virtual assistants because I just couldn't manage it all. And truthfully, the client experience was going down the drain. Luckily, a friend recommended Coach Catalyst and just told me to trust her. I'm sure glad I did. Now I can run my challenges with 2 or 200 clients with just a few clicks. The lessons get delivered on the right days, the accountability happens automatically, and most importantly, the communication is all in one spot. I even created 2 new challenges from the Coach Catalyst library. Best part, didn't have to change a thing. I used to spend 15 minutes just trying to log into all the apps I needed. Now I log in and my dashboard tells me who needs a shout out and who needs a kick in the butt in about 15 seconds. I feel like a huge weight is lifted off of my shoulders. I can finally spend my time coaching again instead of worrying about all the admin work. Do your brain a favor and get Coach Catalyst.
What from your perspective, what are maybe 1 or 2 things that a coach has to do differently online, or maybe pay more attention to online to provide an incredible experience for a client?
Community. Above anything else. I've got a great friend of mine who has built a great community online, and he said that clients come for the transformation, but they stay for the community.
Like, community might be one of the hardest things to build, especially even in an online world.
Very
and
simple.
So, like, how do you go about building a place where people want to continue to come back and really start interacting with each other even more than the brand?
Cool. Well, first things first is that you've got to have the desire to build a community. So this comes down to your passion of coaching. So I care. I mean, you guys put a live event on at your place. You don't have to put a live event on, Trevor.
Right.
But why do you put a live event on? Bring coaches together.
Right.
And then Coach Catalyst is not only a platform for you to coach, it's a community to meet people.
Mm-hmm.
So you've done it. And with me, we have 3 events a year where I put on events for our clients, and the biggest value they get is sitting at a table and talking to each other. So we encourage our clients. Number 1, you're not building online clients and revenue, you're building a community. What have you got to do with that community? You've got to bring them together. So you create a weekly workshop, okay? You bring in external speakers. You actually bring your clients in to talk about their journey. You create a website portal, whatever it may be, Kajabi or whatever you may have, as an education platform, which means, oh, I don't know how to create education. That's because you're not a coach. You've come online to get clients. Our industry needs to be coaching service delivery. So then you create a website where people can learn, and when they get onboarded, they have a load of videos. And then when they're struggling in a particular area, you can come on a weekly group call and then invite your clients to a group call. But if you've got 20 clients, you have to have them in a place whereby you message them on a Tuesday and say, this Thursday, we're covering this. Join the call. You may have 2 people, but you commit to for 6 months. And the better they get, 2 clients comes to 4, comes to 8. And then every 3 to 4 months, you put on a small client event. You might go for a walk. You might have an annual Christmas event. You might do an event like we do. Even if it's for 20 clients, even if it's going for 1 meal, when they start realizing that this program is more than just the check-in on a Friday. Somebody said to me yesterday, I only have 2 online clients, but I have 15 personal training clients. I said, take the 15 clients out for a walk along the beach in Dubai. Bring one online client that can fly in maybe. Document that, because people will see it. They'll be like, oh my God, it's the community that they built. So it doesn't matter whether it's 6 or 60. It's about you thinking about the customer, you bringing them together, because people that are struggling along the journey are not going to get inspiration from you telling them to do better. They will get inspiration from learning from somebody that's overcome the same challenges.
Right.
And if you can document that, share that, it's like putting a before and after photo up. I think one of the most valuable things with the before and after photo is a video that accompanies it. Today, for example, my editor is with one of our highly successful clients, filming a full day with them to put together for a video as a testimonial. Why? Because we're telling the story. But then at the last event, we asked one of our clients to come up on stage and talk about their journey. So I feel that a lot of coaches come online to get clients, but they need to take the responsibility that you're building a brand and a business, Trevor. And unfortunately, the ones that don't survive and the ones that have retention issues are the ones that are literally doing a check-in and thinking that that's enough. In 2024 and 2025 and beyond, the people that build communities online and the people that get better as coaches, they're the ones that will win the game, not just the sales. The ones that are doing sales, it's an important skill to have, don't get me wrong. But the ones that are getting high numbers of clients and making high numbers of money have the highest number of drop-offs. I believe that we are going to see an era whereby everybody that's rushing to make 50K a month online will be the ones that will come back down to 5K. Because on Instagram, it's getting harder to get attention. Ads are becoming more expensive, and the skill of becoming a digital marketer is even more important now than ever. But add that with being a great coach that cares about building a great community, and you have a winning formula.
Right. I love that.
I care, Trevor, so much.
I love that.
Every coach in my company, Trevor, and I'm probably the only one that does this, every coach in my company is still an active online coach. And every coach in my company is a very good coach. So when they spot, and because I'm still a great coach, I hire people based on their skill as coaching, not just their skill to get people to send DMs. So when they spot that the limiting factor is this, we then challenge them. Go and do a transformation, hire a coach, get yourself in shape, fall in love with the process. My highest earning coach working with me one-to-one at the moment came to work with me. And when she came to me, I could tell that she'd lost her love of coaching. She'd gone up to $65,000 a month, but come down to £22,000. And I said, your problem is you've been disconnected with coaching because you're chasing money. Money will come. However, I need to help you over the next few months fall in love with your coaching, start caring about your clients more, start training your team more and retaining the clients more. Trevor, 18 months later, she is now in the best position psychologically. She loves coaching and she's just hit $135,000 months.
That's awesome.
Right?
That's awesome.
But the transformation in her is that she cares and loves her clients now. Whereas before, she lost the love of them for the love of money. We've doubled her income, but got her love back for the thing that she joined the fitness industry for.
Right.
And that's if you could sum up my brand, is we help coaches build high value coaching brands. We don't just help anyone.
I love that. I love that. That's awesome. Which is really nice to hear, because this industry is riddled with the fly-by-night marketers and people that can sell you once, but don't really actually care about the product. They just want to make the sale. So I love hearing that. For the coach that's just starting out, I know we've talked about brand a little bit. We've talked about Instagram being a thing. Let's say we have a coach that doesn't even have a following yet.
Yep.
Right? They're maybe a personal trainer. They've been working in the offline world. They've gotten really good at coaching, but they're ready to make the move. They want to move into an online space. They don't have much of a following. What are kind of like the first maybe 1 or 2 steps that you have that coach start taking in order to really get the opportunity to DM people? Because at this point, they don't have really any followers.
From the early stage, I mean, it depends on 2 types, Trevor. If a coach is just starting out online, I would encourage people, as I said earlier on in the call, to just make sure they've got some degree of income coming from somewhere. Because I think this is if they're a personal trainer or if they're a fitness instructor, get yourself in a gym. I know you're asking me, how do I get the DMs? How do I get the content? But step number one is to not be under pressure to build the business.
Right.
Okay.
I like that.
Step number one is to not be under pressure to build the business, because when you're under pressure to build the business, you're not going to do it right. There is nothing wrong with getting a job in a bar, in a restaurant. Like in your early days of building a business, do whatever it takes to just get some income.
Right.
And they're like, I don't want to do that. I was like, dude, you don't need 8 hours a day to build an online business to start with. Step number one is you need to start thinking properly about the shop front window.
Okay.
Number one. Number two is you need to be clear who your target audience is. You need to start creating content, but not DMing anybody. And then you need to start with an organic follower growth strategy. The follower growth strategy goes like this. Follow accounts, go and look at accounts where your ideal followers may be. And start to follow 20 a day. But number one is you have to get your shop front window sorted. So clarity with who you're going to coach, at least 14 days to 3 weeks worth of content so that when somebody lands on your page, it's actually very clear what you do.
Right.
Start documenting your own training so it looks like you train, even if you don't get results. I would also go and speak to 5 of your family friends and train them for at least 8 weeks and document their progress for free, so that when I go on your page, I see stuff. Then I would start following 20 people a day, expect people not to follow you back. Every single day, I would do follow 5 people in the morning, 5 people at lunch, 5 in the afternoon, and 5 at the end of the day.
And these are just kind of
just
people
follow
that would
people.
fit your target market,
Yep,
not necessarily big influencers.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Just follow people. Just follow people. And then you'll slowly get 3 to 4 follow you back a day. That's 20 a week. And then you start increasing that until you're up to following 50 a day spread out throughout the day. Okay. And when I start following people, then they start following me back. Okay. I give it 24 hours and then I start sending them a message. So I create a pipeline of follow, they follow me back, and then I send a message. Hey, John, thanks for the follow. Just curious, did you follow me for any fitness advice or just for the content? He goes, you followed me, bro. I'm like, awesome. Would you be able to just give me a little bit of feedback as to what would be valuable for you content-wise? Or you followed me, bro. Awesome. Are you working towards a fitness goal right now? Don't be frightened to ask. He's like, yeah, I'm trying to do this. When I came on your page, it looked like you're the type of guy that's got some good advice. Awesome. What are you working towards? And then I literally do that every single day.
Right.
Every single day. Every single day. Every single day. And I just keep going. And then what I do is I go from 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 follows a day. And then I keep making my content better. And I keep documenting what I'm doing, and I keep doing the messaging, and I keep improving at the messaging. Now, obviously, I can give you as much as I can on the podcast, but at the end of the day, it's a skill that you need to learn. And it's a skill, in my opinion, I would be working, and the salary I was making from my job, I would save up. I would live very, very tight about everything I possibly could. I'd keep everything very, very tight. And honestly, I would put all my money into hiring somebody to help me to do it.
Right.
This is not a sales pitch for me, because wherever you are in the world right now, I think your vibe attracts your tribe. If you've listened to me today and I may be your guy, cool, reach out and we can help you. But if I'm not, do not hire me if I don't vibe with you. Do not hire a coach just because they said they can make you money. You've got to go with their ethics, their values, their morals. I've hired mentors and 2 years ago, wasted 25 grand on a douchebag. Because I got caught in the trap of just, he's making this much money. But I hire people aligned with me because I want to learn from people like me. And so if you're desperate to make money and you hire somebody that's just making money, you won't align with their morals and ethics.
Right.
Yeah, you've got to align. Like there's people out there that are just online to make a shit ton of money, but don't care about the customer. But if you are caring about your customer, maybe it will not be as quick as you hope. But if you've got a base level of income, you're not desperate, And then let's scale it. 20 follows, 30 follows, 40 follows, 50 follows. And then you start to scale that. In the early days, I've got to be honest here, it is a numbers game.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to play the numbers game. You've got to play the conversations, and you've got to do the work.
Mm-hmm. Right. You need a certain level of volume.
Yeah. You have to play the numbers game. And as people could say, yeah, Mark, but it's better to run ads and get people in conversations. The ads game is a really complicated game to work through. And it's very unfulfilling because the ads are going to go out to cold audiences because you've got a small audience already. You end up with conversations with people who have no idea who you are. And that's even harder to sell to.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to run ads straight away as a new coach, you have to be damn good at sales. So it's better to have a content a page where people follow you and you engage with them and you start conversations, and at least that person's engaged on your page and knows you're a coach.
Right.
Right. So it's tough in the early days, but I feel that the reason why people like me exist and the reason why other coaches that help people build businesses online exist is because you need accountability as you do a PT or an online coach. You actually need somebody in your corner when your head is fried because you're not going to want to do it. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be challenging. But the only way to get started is through, it's like training. As soon as you start prep for a competition for the first time or a photo shoot, it sucks because your calories come down.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is you signed up for this.
Right.
And if you signed up for building an online business, the one thing that people miss in life, and I worked for a corporate firm. There's a great Daniel Priestley who wrote the book Oversubscribed, which is a fantastic book to read to anybody. He's based in the UK. And he said, the best gift anybody can give to themselves throughout their life is to work for a CEO with no more than 10 employees. Because you get to sit at the table and talk to the CEO. You get to sniff the business, feel the business, look at the pressure, understand what they're doing, and grow within a corporate structure, and then go work on your own. But what happens with today's online coach, Trevor, is that they are coming from being a fitness instructor, personal trainer, or working in another job that's nothing like what we're doing here, and going straight into not only being an online... See, I think we need to quit the word online coach.
Right.
For most people, and get them to understand that you are beginning an entrepreneurial journey. We teach young fitness professionals how to build resilience as young entrepreneurs. And the byproduct of that is we will teach you how to build an online coaching brand. But if you're going online as an online coach, your psychology is wrong from the start. You're going to start a business. And if you've not gone to college or not worked in corporate, then you are honestly a bit foolish if you don't invest every bit of penny that you've got into having a mentor, because a mentor is a business coaching certification, degree, foundation, course, whatever it is. Go to college, hire a mentor, because they will help you with resilience. They will help you with confidence. They will help you overcome self-doubt, everything. You know,
like
this is so important to change the frame, change the narrative.
The Super Coach Summit by Coach Catalyst is...
The Super Coach Summit by Coach Catalyst is...
The Super Coach Summit by Coach Catalyst is...
The Super Coach Summit by Coach Catalyst is room for opportunity.
It's badass.
It's fucking awesome.
Over-deliver. They talked about it, and they definitely did it.
It is amazing. It has been invigorating.
Is exemplary. It's phenomenal and just a great time with great people. And you feel like in Ohana, you feel like a family.
It's unreal.
It is awesome. What will help separate the 1% from the 99% is a really well thought out event, well conceived, well planned, and well executed.
It's such an amazing event to be at in order to grow your business and network with other professionals.
It is top tier. It's one of the best I've been to in the business. It's been unbelievable, and I'm just excited to finish out the day here and keep making connections.
It's an event that you will be very happy that you have attended, because next year is going to be even better than this one.
It is freaking badass. If you're not here, you're missing out. See you next year.
No, I like that. I really like that. I like the thing about the resilience piece, because I think that's a huge piece, especially early on. because you're going to get punched in the mouth a lot. And then having someone in your corner that's kind of like, yeah, this is how it goes. And
Exactly.
this is what we signed up for, and giving you the confidence to continue, because it many times is you just need to continue long enough until it works. And a lot of people just give up before they reach that tipping point. And if they just would have hung in it a little longer, they would have did it. So this is awesome.
I think it's invaluable. I'm 47 now, right? I've been doing this for 25 years. I don't think a lot of other people teaching fitness professionals, the online space right now, have been doing it long enough to realize, like, I've been punched in the face for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And at 47, the punches hurt more now. But I can handle the work capacity. And I think what's really important when it comes to training is the reason we can train hard is because we built work capacity. And one of the coaches on my call yesterday said, how do you build work capacity? And it is something that you build with reps, but you can only build on good reps. And when you build on good reps, and maybe you do in a diet phase, have to take a bit of a pause with the diet for your first diet, and you have to have a week where you just put the calories back up a bit because it's tough. And as you become a better bodybuilder or physique athlete, you can go a 19-week prep without a refeed. But somebody on the first one, they have to have a couple because they lose their shit.
Right.
Well, entrepreneurship's no different. When you're starting out, your work capacity after a while, you're not going to enjoy sales. You are going to want to break. You are going to want to pull back. It's going to be freaking difficult. And you are going to think that you suck. And every single day, it's going to get harder and harder. But the reality is when you're getting advice from somebody who gets it, like, I get personal development. We hired one of the world's leading experts in personal development, Dr. John DeMartini, for 6 months inside my program to teach our coaches every single month the skill of managing and keeping control of their emotions. I think I'm one of the only coaching programs. I spent $30,000 on hiring this guy to teach our coaches and to build the modules in our program of emotional resilience, because I've learned emotional resilience from years in the trenches. But these coaches at the age of 22, 23, you've got to bottle it up and help them quite quickly, or else we're heading people into a world of being unhappy. And I don't want that. I want people to have them expectations managed, that you're starting out building a business. And if you are, you need help. You don't just need tactics.
Right.
So I hope that makes sense.
No, that's I'm 100% on board. I love it. I've been in this game for almost coming on 2 decades now. So
well, there we go. We're two old dogs.
I know, right? And so it's fun to hear people that have been in the game for a long time or to continue to evolve and continuing to kind of help that next generation come through in a different time. Because, when we first started training, online training wasn't a thing, right? The only place you could train people were in gyms. But we're coming into a new age of training that has a ton of flexibility. It has a ton of freedom. You can build a business, but it is still building a business. Just being online doesn't make it any easier, which I think is the myth that is sold by a lot of marketers is the laptop lifestyle. But it's just coaching. Its format is different. The only thing that's different is now you're not seeing someone, which I think is harder, actually.
And do you know what, Trevor? I'll add to this, right? I think another reality is this. What you're also signing up for is the laptop in your office lifestyle.
Right.
The laptop lifestyle is what I do all day.
Mm-hmm.
My work day at the age of 47, at a choice, I've got influencer coaches that just have very different way of life, but I'm building a bigger business. I get up 5:45, I work till 8, and then I work 1 till 7. And between 1 and 7, I'm on my laptop. And a lot of coaches actually who are really, really used to love being in a gym, they struggle with being in their bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't think it was going to be like this. Dude, speak to any millionaire in the world. The quality of life that they've got, most of them are trying to buy back time by growing a business to not sit on the beach, because entrepreneurs don't want to do nothing.
Right.
Entrepreneurs want to make a lot of money. They want to make a lot of impact. They want to build a legacy with their brand, and they want to build wealth. And so if they get given a certain amount of hours in the day, they make damn sure that they use them.
Right.
So the laptop lifestyle is the influencers selling low ticket, building millions of followers that actually haven't really developed entrepreneurism of, I want to build something bigger, some of them, right? Then there's the other ones that, yes, they built a low ticket offering, but they're also working damn hard, creating content and marketing and everything else on the backside. So, if you've then chosen to build an online business, you're building a business. If you're then choosing to be an entrepreneur, there are influencers that sit there with, and they're probably some of the hardest people I've had to coach. They're sitting on sponsorships, they're sitting on low ticket product offerings, and actually have not developed any real work capacity or entrepreneurship. So when they want to build a coaching brand, they don't know how to do it, because there is some of the coaches with 500,000 to 1 million followers making 60 to 100,000 a month who want to build a coaching brand now for one-to-one. They're the hardest to work with because they don't want to do the work.
Right.
They do not want to do any work because their business has become easy.
Right.
Now, on the flip side, when it comes to building a one-to-one coaching brand, that requires a lot of work, which means you've got to put the work in.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very, very different thing. And so we keep coming back to the same point, Trevor. Both of you have done this for a long time. You're building a business. And I think that the sooner people realize that, the sooner their expectations are managed, and then they can enjoy building a business rather than chasing money.
Yeah, I love that. Mark, we're gonna have to do a part 2. We could be here for another hour or so, but we're gonna finish up with some rapid fire stuff.
Go.
And so these are just kind of off the wall questions. The first one I ask everybody. You're in the UK, now you're in Dubai, so I don't know if this one's going to make sense to you, but taco, burrito, or quesadilla?
Always burrito.
Always. Are you like a volume guy? You need the volume?
Oh, man, I'm volume and bread. I don't. The crunch goes everywhere.
I know you guys don't have a ton of Mexican food in the UK, so I always kind of like
burrito. Well, every day.
One. All right, I like it. If you could be reincarnated as an animal based upon your personality, what kind of animal do you come back as?
Lion.
A lion. I like it. No hesitation. I love it. All right, next one. If did you have something you wanted to add to that or no?
Just no.
Okay.
Lion.
A lion. I like it. Anything that you have purchased recently for like $100 or less, that's had a pretty big impact on your life. Any technology, and if you don't have any tech, then any book that's under $100 that's had a big impact on you.
I think. Do you know what's quite funny? I'd say there was a book actually that I read recently, and it's actually The Ruler of Dubai, Sheikh Mohammed's book. That's had a pretty big impact in my life because it's a visionary that's created this wonderful city. And it was not an expensive book, but studying the philosophy and the work and the thoughts of the ruler of Dubai, and I know it's nothing to do with business and building an online coaching brand, but when you start to understand what visionaries have got in their minds, you realize that everything comes from a vision. And I'm very big on creating a vision every 6 months for me and my wife does one. We talk a lot. And visionary leaders create amazing things. And I think that teaches us that if you don't have a vision, you don't have a path.
Right. I love that. That's awesome. All right, last one. If you could have dinner with any person, past or present, who do you sit down with and break bread with?
I'm very inspired by The Rock.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think that the humility and the values and everything that guy has done outside of creating films, I think that the brand that he's built and the ability to stay true to his values has been insane from what I can see. And I think to just break bread there, there's a lot of things that I admire about him, and therefore I think I'd get a lot from breaking bread.
That's awesome. That is the first one. We've done like 80 some of these episodes, and I haven't heard The Rock, so that's very original.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great, man. Well, Mark, if people want to learn a little bit more about you, about kind of your coaching, how you're helping the industry, where do people find you on the internet?
Mark Coles M10 on Instagram is where you'll find me. I also have a podcast that I release every week, every Tuesday,
Sweet.
called The Mastery Podcast. That's on iTunes, Spotify, put that on YouTube as well. So you can find that very easily, and just immerse yourself in my world. Follow me on Mark Coles M10 on Instagram, and the journey unfolds from there.
I love it, Mark. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me. We're definitely going to have to do a part 2 here.
I'd look forward to that.
Man, this has been awesome. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you ever so much for having me on, and sleep well.
Right, I'm gonna head to bed here in a little bit, but
all right, man.
We'll talk soon, Mark.
Take it, man. Take it. Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to another episode of the Coach Catalyst podcast. If you are a coach looking to do more for your clients than just workouts, give Coach Catalyst a test drive. Try it for 14 days. Jump on call with your personal strategy coach, Ashley, and see how easy technology can be, all for free. Tell them Trevor sent you. Until next time, keep changing lives.